If you just
Don't you already know?
Everybody's ready, so I've never been.
No, that's okay, we'll get that.
All right, it's Wednesday, August the 6th, 6:30, and I am calling this meeting of the Floresville Planning and Zoning Commission into order. We have a quorum. We have Chris Talamantes, Jim Rollhorn, Ray Lambeth, myself, Philip Vipon, and we also have City Manager Henrietta Turner, and the lovely Cindy. As always, we will start this with the Pledge of Allegiance and Texas pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Before I open the public hearing, do we have any citizen comment?
Jim, I'd like to
You're not a
introduce.
citizen.
I do. I'd like to introduce to the P&Z and to the audience, Mindy Riley, our new Director of Community Development. She'll be working with Cindy on our plans and has gotten, she's been here almost 3 weeks. And she's really helped us out with the PDD that's going to be before you. And so I wanted to introduce you to Mindy.
Welcome.
Mindy.
It's still here for 3 weeks, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
3 weeks, yes.
We need a Mandy now, so we're going to have Mindy, Cindy,
Mindy,
Mandy.
Cindy, and Wendy.
A Wendy.
Or
Wendy.
Wendy. Or Mark.
There you go, yes.
So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, public hearing is to consider a request to rezoning 461.07 acres of tract land, Riverbend, the villages of Riverbend, from residential zoning to planned development district zoning. This is a public hearing, and we will take any comments from the public. Anybody signed up? Sure.
Do we have anybody who want to speak public hearing? No?
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
Yes, he is.
We need him.
Yes.
I talked to him today. Okay, so we'll close the public hearing and we'll move to item C, old business. Approve the minutes for July 9th.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes of July 9th, that's right.
Motion by Ray, second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item D under new business, consideration and action to approve rezoning of the 461 acres of tract land, Riverbend, the villages of Riverbend, from residential zoning to planned development district zoning. Anybody has, for the committee, any deep questions, Chris is available on phone, kind of like we did before. I've been fairly involved in this all the way through, had lots of meetings on it. I'm extremely excited about this project. I think it's the best thing that's happened to Floresville in a long, long time. And it fits in really, really well with our development plan that we've produced earlier on this year.
Without getting him on the phone, did Chris have any comments one way or the other?
Only that when we had a meeting with the city manager a while ago, there was some wording issues that Chris wanted, and those have been put right in the agreement. There it is.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, one of the things when we met last, that Chris wanted to comment on was actually 2.7.1, the administrative fees. I think the fees were, $15,000. Mr. Cruz has paid that. And then there's a little language in there and it says if there's any shortage, it'll be paid by the owner. So he's already paid that. The other was an issue in reference to the road damage fee.
Right.
That the engineer, Mr. Heimer, right?
Yes.
Mr. Heimer is working on a fee in reference to that. But in theory, what would happen is that there's a road that comes in, as you know, right now, that needs some repair. It's not necessarily something the city's gonna be doing right now. And so what Mr. Cruz wants to do is make the repair because everybody's coming in to see these wonderful new homes. They're passing this wonderful little thing and they really, the speed bump really not working. And so it'll be like a, you'll be right over the manhole, not a really good thing. So he wants to repair that. And then looking at that, what we want to be able to do is to have him recapture, and that's the word I'm using, but it's not a recapture fee, but each homeowner put up an amount. And so what Mr. Hyman would do is verifying that amount to assess to each one of the 700, I believe it said 746 units. So everybody pays a little bit, actually it's paid to the city of Floresville. We hold on to that, and then, and whensoever it happens, that he's able to come to that dollar amount, let's say it's $45,000, the city will reimburse him that amount. It may take 5 years, it may take 10, but whenever that happens, and so that's part of the agreement. That was one of the discussions tonight. He called it road damage fund, and section 4.3. Other than that, it's really nice. I think Chris did a wonderful job. We actually have 6 or 7 green public parks that's going to be in the development that wasn't there originally. And actually, it'll be a fully developed park, which I know EDC, where the other half would be happy to hear. So it's not just a vacant land, it's a fully developed park. And so we're really happy in reference to that. Again, this is setting the standard for the other subdivisions as they come forward, because we're not going to ask them to do any less than what we've asked Richard to do. If we can walk it through, if you all approve of the agreement, and the agreement's here for you all to approve as well. We'll take it to city council on the 28th. We will give them a copy so they can read it. Give it 28th. Mr. Richard will be back and make a presentation, and hopefully we can go ahead and make this a full circle. I know that the gentleman at the end of the table to my right will be happy to see it make its full completion and approved, that we've actually made some forward motion. So that's what we're having today. The attorney did not have much to move on this, so that was really great. And said it's really good because we're really happy to do that. And hopefully one day we'll take a trip out there to see what they did in these other towns so we can see an example of it. But if it's anything like what this agreement says, I think that Riverbend is going to be a state of the art.
Henrietta, can you capsulize what this really means for the development versus the previous zoning? What this allows?
Well, in my little small interpretation of what it gives us him is flexibility to be able to do some things to negotiate. So basically, you're giving him permission to say he can do so many single-family homes, or he can do multifamily, he can do some commercial, that these are things that are allowable uses in this subdivision.
Still having to come back to P&Z every 5 minutes because they want to move.
Because you all be like,
all
I'm
5
sick of
feet.
seeing him, I don't want to see him anymore. And it also gives him negotiating power that he goes forth to do that. I know this, flirting around or has talked to some developers that have independent living. That's an option that we talked about for some time, for seniors to have, and he's calling them garden apartments. But as you know, as this market moves and it picks up, it probably will look a little bit differently than what it is, but there's like a master plan. And so with the master plan, as long as it stays within its parameters with density and the number of units and the green spaces, it will be approved. He still has to come, not that he will ever jump over you. He still has to come to you, but it's not a matter of variances and things like that. We gave him some flexibility is all it did. Not a lot.
And that's standard in a development of this sort. It's not standard in a small development, but in a large development like this, you've got to give the developer a little bit more leeway than you would get if he's just building 50 homes.
But this agreement also ties him into a subdivision where we're going to provide, because we don't have what we're asking Richard to do, we don't have in the books right now. And so this is going to be able to give him parameters, which he is setting up himself, which he wants for his, as he sells off these different lots. It also gives us a standard of what a subdivision should do. It has sidewalks. It is a walkable community, which is important to me. And so those kind of things that we come forward, we need to make sure that our future developments have this sidewalk. Ironically, today was the end of a 2-day session that Mindy and I went to talk about making, how you can take care of drainage and how you're gonna, retain property, not have all these wonderful little pools all over the place. Ponds are nice, but that water is not always pretty. And this development has it in there. So we're doing it, and I'm gonna turn it into Sarah to say, look, we're already doing this type of improvement so that we can make sure. So I think this is smart growth that we need to be able to have. And I think it's gonna take away that stigmatism, I'm hoping, that we've been had, that it's stalled and stopped. It's a whole new animal, it's not the same.
Almost
And
bad
so
name.
it definitely will see some growth. And Cindy can attest to the permits that have already come out of there and the growth that's happening. So he's already started. It's not like by and by, he's ready to go. And keeping up with Richard is a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
He's pushing. We've met with we were able to facilitate a meeting with the 2 largest employers in the city of Floresville, as you know, the hospital and the school district. We met with them, and he's even putting together some partnerships with them in reference to having them purchase here. So it's going to be not everybody from the outside, like myself, but to have people who are already here and have an investment and a connection to the community to relocate here. And I cannot tell you how much I'm excited, and I have to agree that he's going to start doing some signage off of Business Loop 181. And we want to publicize that it is a public golf course, which doesn't happen very often. Not just private for those people who live there, anybody can come and play. And so those kind of things we're happy to do. And he's going to also allow us to piggyback off some of his marketing things that he's putting together so that the city of Floresville can market itself as well. So we're excited about this. I know Mr. Sack doesn't believe it, but the city is excited. And we're definitely having a forward motion, which is what we need to be able to have, is a forward motion. And I'm thinking this, with the blessing of the planning and zoning, will give us what we need to take to the council to say it has jumped through all the hoops and even invented more hoops to jump through. So I'm excited about it as well.
What's the effect on city services, water, sewer, that sort of stuff?
Well, actually, the sewer was already designed for the original, so I'm all good with sewer. Water modeling we haven't actually done, but we are looking into that. But for his first 2 phases, from what the preliminary Mr. Heimer said, we should be fine for the first 2 phases. Without
And also, he's going to have a large 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 sign of his master plan out there at the entrance. So people coming in and out can go up and look at it and see what kind of development Floresville has coming in.
Yes.
So that's also good.
And we've reached out to the homeowners that are there so that the development is not just being on them, that we've been ignoring for so long. And so they're really happy that they've embraced it. He's had meetings with them. He's seen this plan. I mean, literally when you come, he brings these out like pictures of his children. Here's the plan. And so they've seen it, they've asked questions, and they're happy about the momentum that's coming and that he's really going to have a diversified, it won't be, you've seen some of the subdivisions like ABC model. It won't be that type of cookie cutter. It's definitely going to be unique, and he's going to take into consideration what's already there and make it even better. He's reached out to TxDOT, and they're talking about deceleration lanes. When you mentioned that to me, I thought, yep, he's going to talk to
That was going to be my next
TxDOT.
question, how we doing with TxDOT on getting, this is going to be 4 new exits out onto,
Yes, he's reached out to TxDOT. I know Cindy gave him information, they made the connection, and they're looking at the entrance sets right before the entrance they have now, which is on, I don't know, tell me out, going north, right? Say it, tell me, going north, that they're looking at doing a deceleration lane of how to enter to there because he needs to have another entrance. And so he started that conversation with them, with TxDOT, because that is their street, in reference to how they can do that. And the first thing they said was deceleration, which is no surprise to you. And so they started the preliminary for that. So he started, even though he hasn't been approved, Richard has the faith that he's making the next step.
How many units are in the first 2 phases?
I'm sorry?
How many units are in the first 2 phases?
And we have parcel, this one is parcel D, which is 183.
183 in the first.
Yeah.
And she's reading from this legend
Yeah,
right here.
here's the legend, and then, yes. And he's also talked about
These, one of the first ones, and what's the next one, you said there were two?
I know it's this one he's talking about, and maybe this one here too.
Legends,
Yes.
parcel B 66,
Yes.
existing. I
Yes.
think there
He
are,
wants to finish those off,
Yeah.
yes.
those, there are two houses under construction there right now, one model, one spec. And I believe the other one is the existing ones in Traditions, so they're under construction now as well.
And then he's gonna pop it in the top there.
Right.
So you think it's the 183 plus which one?
Well, this one right here says parcel D, the top one here going north,
Okay.
that's 183. But that one he was talking about like
He said two.
townhomes and
Duplexes.
duplexes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
That's the one that's gonna require the deceleration lane.
He wanted to put those in the front.
There was some retail there too, wasn't
Yeah, the ones in kind of crimson color
Yeah.
are mixed use. They can be offices, they could be dentists, they could be retail
Oh,
shops.
right there. Mhm. Yeah, that's where it says mixed-use lots in like a crimson and maroonish kind of color. Fuchsia. Fuchsia.
it? None of them many colors.
I'm sorry.
Do you know why on this
Purple,
master
pink.
plan, we don't have sections A and G? A was the original section, it's not noted on your summary table. A and G is the one that goes along the golf course, where you've got about 6 new homes there, and you're building 2 or 3.
Mhm.
But they're not part of this layout here,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe because
Because most of them probably,
they're
Well,
existing.
because
Yeah,
they've already been subdivided, they've already been platted too.
Okay, so that's the
Yes,
reason,
sir.
okay.
Those two have been
these are
platted.
That's the only 2 that were platted,
Yes,
you're
sir.
right, okay.
if you look on the one that actually here, they have the traditional parcel A is on, I'm looking at, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have it there, and then it's existing, so that's why they're not showing those.
Not part of it,
existing.
okay.
Right.
Existing LE
Now, I understand that eventually this will be turned over to a homeowner association.
Yes, he is preparing for a homeowners association in reference to maintenance of the parks. Again, I'm doing a happy dance.
That was going to be my question, that the
Uh,
homeowner association should take care of that.
Yeah.
Good. On the road damage fee, item 4.3, there's not an amount put in there. Is that something you intend to put in before it goes to city council? Should it be approved by this board?
Yes, I have a preliminary number. We're sending it to Richard Villa and Chris, the went to review, Mr. Harmon gave the report, and then we'll put that amount in there. We're going to be giving, again, the council this draft, and we will stamp the draft for the 14th meeting, which is next Thursday, as a matter of information. It'll be on the agenda just so that they can have a chance to, it is quite a document to go through.
It
So we
is.
want them to be able to digest it and not just, here it is, we vote on this on the 28th. So we want to present it to them, so you may see it on the agenda, it's just, in the presentation, it's going to be here. Chris, you available?
I believe so, I
Yes,
have to
we
verify.
have, we're gonna verify, but I believe Chris Stewart has put on his agenda to walk this through the council on the 14th as we present it. And then on the 28th, Rich will be here to speak to it as well, and we're hoping for approval on the 28th. So that everybody will have an opportunity to read it, to look at it, to ask the consultant who worked with it, any questions that they may have. And then again on the 28th, Rich will be there and staff will be there answering the questions they have on 28th. So we really want everybody to feel comfortable and have a warm, fuzzy feeling, as we do in reference to this project.
And Henrietta, we will have a meeting of the Riverview Community Development Corporation prior to that, and for making sure that everything is fine with us, and we'll say, yes, it was fine.
Before the 28th of this
Oh, yeah,
month?
yeah.
Okay.
So you'll have that, you know,
Good. so we can have all parties have that, all interested parties have approved it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Two bullets together.
And I have some, really been TIF things and approvals I need to give to you for that meeting.
Have some t-shirts, all these colors for the council.
I'm gonna put you in the pink one.
That's fuchsia. Used to be green.
I had somebody to tell me that in the presentation that men only know 8 colors, because that's all comes in the crayon box, and they don't, they use the big crayon for the small.
There's only 8 colours on a Bud Light bottle, that's why.
I was gonna say, we know 8.
Okay, gentlemen, we have, if we have any more, no more questions, can I get a proposal on this, please?
I will move that we approve the rezoning of 461 acre tract, Riverbend, the villages of Riverbend from residential zoning to planned development district zoning.
I have a proposal by Jim and a second by Chris. All in favour?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. By the same token, the other part of this is the Riverbend agreement. I never know why they're put separately, but,
Well, one is the application,
yeah,
the actual PDD district, and the other one's.
okay. Can I get a proposal on the agreement as well, please?
I make a motion that we approve the Village of Riverbend Development Agreement.
I have a motion by Ray,
I'll second.
second by Jim. All in favour?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item C, consideration action to approve a 20-foot variance for a garage building to be placed in the property of 901 Fifth Street.
Okay, what we have here is,
I've been trying to make it a point on every one of these to go and view it on the afternoon, and I did this afternoon, finally get there and looked at both ones that are coming up. It really helps when you actually see it. The Google Maps okay, but when you actually, you get a better feel for the neighborhood and how it would change things if you're actually there. Yes, ma'am.
I'm 901 Fifth Street.
Okay.
I got some pictures here that I want to show to you, because this isn't the corner of the lot, this is taken way out on the intersection of Standing there.
Yeah, I was there this afternoon.
Okay, well, where, and this is right here, I'm in the street, but anyway, this is an existing 25-foot concrete slab.
Right.
Locked down, and we went, I came in, and then she said, no, I was supposed to come out, and I got big.
Yeah.
But that's what the 20-foot variance is
Right,
for,
yeah.
because right in through here, you know, good 35, 45, almost 50 feet off the standing here is where we went with
Right.
the garage. But anyway, these are some pictures
I mean, 25 feet, you got
It's basically on that concrete.
Yeah, and this is kind of like, and then I also double checked, all the utilities on Standish are on the opposite side.
Right.
There is no utilities on this 35 foot, it's almost 36 foot from the edge of the property to the edge of Standish. And the exception of there's some overhead and which will be garage way clear of that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's only a 20 by 26 garage.
Yeah.
And then from the garage, East Fifth Street, it's 56
Yeah,
feet.
56
Right.
feet.
So that would give
You know,
people enough.
I mean,
45, 58, 5. It's just that variance down to 5 feet. That,
Well, because it's a corner lot.
Yeah.
So being that it's a corner lot, you have to have a 25-foot corner
you know,
setback.
from the side of the property,
And
that's,
she only has 5, so she needs 20. What she has there is, what she wants to do is she wants to put a storage building that she wants to purchase from Leland's here.
It's a garage.
It's a garage.
Yeah,
It's an enclosed garage.
yeah.
And what she has is an existing concrete pad there right now. It's not in a floodplain. It will not go over the 40% coverage rule. The property is owned by Patricia Riley's mother, who is deceased and not indicated on the Puss and Cat. We did receive a notarized letter from William Daniel Riley, who is the independent executor of the estate, and he's giving Patricia Riley the authority to modify, update, remodel, and or build additions to the property. My comments to this application is the ownership of the property. To me, it's unclear. I'm not sure if we need to have legal look over it, seeing if the notarized letter is enough for submission of this variance.
May I make a suggestion in future that when we have one that is like this, where somebody is acting as an independent executor, we would need the letter of testamentary. Because that proves, I'm happy to take that this is a notarized document.
It's a compliment on will, showing that,
Yeah, but,
the road is.
yeah, there's a legal document called a letter of testamentary that you have to have.
That I don't know.
Because if you look at this, that I made a copy for y'all, this is her mother's property, that's in that little square.
Right.
And she wants to put the storage building in there, and around it is her brother's
Brother.
property.
Yep.
So, just to give you an idea.
So I did drive it this afternoon and look at it, and it would blend in with everything else that's around there.
And I believe I put the letter in your, yeah. It's right before you.
What, the notarized letter?
Yes, did y'all have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think in future on these, we should need a letter of testamentary.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
But that may just be a legalistic. But we do have a copy of the last will and testament. And
We do.
have any notarized documents saying everything's okay, so I'm comfortable with it.
And then do we need to notify the adjacent property owners or?
Not for variances, no, sir. You want to see the pictures? You want me to look at the pictures? Red?
Rosanna, do you see the downside of this at all?
No, because, it's gonna be a new building from Leland's, it's gonna, they're gonna set it up, it's gonna look nice. It's gonna be, an enclosed building. From what I understand, they wanna store a classic vehicle in there. And according to their insurance, it has to be in an enclosed building, so, yes. I think it's this one right here. Is this it?
Yes.
It'll be this one right here, yeah.
Tan with a brown trim, so it'll all blend in with, the house.
Yeah, where it's gonna go and everything else that I saw down there.
We're getting a lot of requests from various. We've had this discussion before, and, I don't have particular issues one way or the other, but more with
The setting of a
the
precedent.
precedent issue.
Yeah, and then I think, and I looked into that a little bit after we had our last discussion on neither of these set a precedent, neither does the next one coming up. But there may come a time when we're making a decision which may affect future policy. So we just need you're quite right. We absolutely on the ball and look and see, you know, we don't want to set a precedent that's going to bite us in the butt later.
Especially given that we just did a land use plan, it's supposed to be part of the master plan, trying to go down that path.
Well,
Right.
speaking of that, you know, the council, you approved, as well as the council approved for Chris Stewart to start. And one of Minnie's expertise is helping us put together, she works for the city of San Antonio in their permitting department, and actually has helped written some of their ordinances. And so ordinances are definitely just gonna be able to kind of talk about these things that happened before, all these variances that happened before, so we can set up, you know, say historically, if you have a lot this size, and sometimes, like I went by, and you're right, it does give you perspective when you go by, that one with that really small lot, that they, with their new mobile home they came.
Right.
It's like, oh my goodness, it would never fit into it, and so he can help us write the right language, because the land use is definitely what we wanna put on. And so it's there, and actually we're putting some money together in reference to that. I have discovered that the city has a codification plan, legal services or something in reference to that we can start codifying what we have already, and then we can look at where we have it. So we can send them those so they can codify it, you know, put it all together where it should be, and then we can look and see where we are. So it's gonna be starting from ground zero. No bad thing, it's only term I'm using. Ground zero, so we can build on that and make those changes. Because you're right, because then these small ones and these lovely people, you let them have his toy. So that they don't have to come necessarily before you in this formal motion, that we can have something written to address some of these things. Okay. That's our goal. And staff has heard it, yes? Yes. So that's our goal.
Mr. Chairman, as far as sitting precedents we're talking, do we need to include in some of these different changes we're making, these deals, like for instance, is for use of a enclosed garage, and it's not to be used for commercial, not for retail, it is for its intended uses for a garage. Do you need something like that too?
I don't think so, because if they opened a bar there, you'd be changing the use, and I think we'd be down on them like a ton of bricks.
But even so, Ray, that when they apply for the permit, it's storage building, only for use of
Yeah.
storage building, only.
Yeah. So that's all we're allowing,
Yes.
so it can't be a dance hall.
No.
Damn it.
And the zoning is not to change, the variance is just on.
Right,
the setback.
we're just
So
allowing
zoning
a
will
variance
remain
down to
residential,
5
right?
feet.
Right.
Still
But
residential.
that's a really good question, because we want to make sure that those kind of, when we're making all these changes, it doesn't fall into that.
Right.
Yes.
Can I get a proposal for acceptance of this 20-foot variance?
I'll make a motion to approve the 20-foot variance for a garage building to be placed in the property of 901 Fifth Street.
I have a motion by Chris Parmentis. Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Finally, on to item D, which is another variance. Consideration action to approve a variance for the size of the front property in order to place a manufactured home. The current size is 50 feet wide, which does not meet the minimum size of the front lot of 75 feet at the address of 1510 G Street. Now, my understanding on this one, I think, is replacing
Yes.
the existing
They're
mobile home
removing,
that's there,
they would like to remove the current one that's there now.
which has seen better days.
Well, it's older, yes, and they want to buy a brand new one. And,
Yeah.
they want to replace it with,
But it's going in exactly the same place,
yes,
right?
yes.
Are they not
Exactly.
grandfathered in? Do we?
Well, this is the thing, and we got to remember this.
I couldn't understand
Yes.
why this was coming before P and Z.
Anytime that they're making any changes to the property, it has to conform to what we have currently. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everyone? So currently, that lot size is 50-foot front. They got the depth, the
Right.
150. They have more than what they need, well, more than what's required, but the frontage they didn't have. And you can see that's a little,
It's a small lot.
Yes.
But there's an existing mobile home on there. And all they want to do is take that off and put a brand new one on there. And we're not changing anything, we're just granting, presume because they didn't get a variance in the first place, or maybe,
well, From what I understand, they were telling me that the mobile home was back in 94?
94.
See?
Well, we didn't have those,
Exactly.
right, we didn't even have
Exactly, yes.
anything to vary on that.
Yes, yes.
Back
And
then.
again, it's not in the floodplain. They're working on getting all the signatures from all the property owners. If you could see, it looks like an island where they're at. I
Mhm.
call it an island. They have all the utilities because the older home is there now. And,
Do we need to have a public hearing on this then?
no, this is just for.
This is just for variance?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes,
Make sure we get it right.
Yes.
I wouldn't look good in orange.
Cindy, is this for a personal home or is it for a rental property?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is this a personal home or a rental property?
Personal. This is the applicant, they're gonna own this home. But the property is actually owned by someone else. And he's the one that submitted the application. She's submitting the mobile home application, and he submitted for the
Variance.
lot variance, yes. Or actually, I should say, Mark Mendez?
My son.
Yes. But you see who's the owner of the property?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't setting up something that we had going around.
But
our
Mark
rental
Mendez will
property,
be
yeah.
the owner of the manufacturer.
So Cindy, what are your thoughts? You're taking out an older model home and putting in a newer model home. It's not gonna have any impact on the surroundings, is it? Negative impact?
No?
Negative impact.
No,
So
no.
I drove it this afternoon and looked at it.
If you look at my comments,
Wonder why we-
Got rid of them,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. And again, we probably may see some more of this because, you know, maybe the older homes are wanting them out of here and they want to bring in new. And a lot of these lots are not
Not big enough.
to the size that we require.
But that's a good thing. I mean, you're replacing the
Sure.
homes.
Replacing it with a 94 model with a 2014 model is
Mhm.
the direction we want to go. We don't want to go that way.
Exactly.
Well, with that being said, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the variance on the property on 1510 G Street.
A motion by Ray, second by Chris. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Any other business? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
So now it goes next week to city.
I'm excited about this, River Bend.